it's going to be, we're going in for funding again. Kickstarter didn't go quite as well, but me and I'm bringing my buddy Orlando Skidmore in as DP on this, and I'm directing, co-writer and creator of it. And it's pretty good. It's all Native American cast, half the crew's Native American. But it's pretty much environmental. It's about what we're living in today. You know, we need to do something about it. We can't destroy our planet so a few people can profit. Other than that,
So finding somebody really knowledgeable as he is, or a producer who's knowledgeable, can also save you some headache, because like if half of his cast is Native American, then he qualifies for a different contract under the Screen Actors Guild, which would save him a ton of money.
And you won't find anybody easier to work with than Denny Shoopman, I can tell you that much. So luckily Terry, who is the casting director, ta-da, is here in the audience. She's going to come up and speak a little bit about your submissions.
okay, this gentleman had a question.
Oh, yes.
Did you change anything to make Mexico more open?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think we ought to come together as a full state and not just promote Santa Fe. You know, the more cities in New Mexico than Santa Fe. And that's the problem we run into a lot. I try to reach out to some of these groups that are out there to help filmmakers, but it's like, you have to come to Santa Fe to do it. And I'm like, that's not what New Mexico is supposed to be about.
Is it going to be Hollywood, or could you come from foreign, like Japan or China, directly here?
You can.
You can come from anywhere directly.
Yeah, pretty much anywhere. There's a few people coming in from China. I don't know, I've talked to a few producers out of LA, and they said they won't do these things here due to the 480, which
A lot of politics.
it's a lot of politics. The 480, the union. There's people that said, no, we will not film in New Mexico because of the 480. It's a union.
It's the International Association of Studio and Theater Engineers. Basically, it's all the below the line jobs. There's nothing wrong with the 480 itself, because it's IATSE, which is across the entire country and across the world. They've had some political issues lately. I won't get into them, and it's not my union. I'm a member of the Directors Guild. It's a whole separate thing. But they've had some political issues lately and some difficulties lately, and all that's getting sorted out as quickly as possible, thank goodness. And hopefully things are on the upturn for us, because I've known of some producers who didn't want to have anything to do with us until those things were out and resolved. Now,
when do you, for example, Denny, do you do your own locations, or are there location directors, and how do you get hold of them?
I'll ask. Why Montoya's been awesome letting me film here. I've filmed a few music videos here, a few of my films on PSA. We film quite a bit here. So wherever it's available. Right now, like Tell Me Again Grandfather, we're filming that at the Mission at the Navy. And just connections. It's who you know, really.
and
Kind of in your head.
you can also look on nmfilm.com,
Yes.
and they have like a directory of places that are available. Fair enough. You could also, if you got a hold of the local 480, you can find a location representative there, and they will be able to scout and find you locations for any projects that you have.
But if you want to tribute locations.
Right. Then you should usually do it through the film office. There's an Albuquerque film office and a Santa Fe film office and the Las Cruces film office.
Well, the New Mexico Film Commission also.
Or the
You
New
can-
Mexico
you will get paid. You will get paid well if it's, depending on the production. You can list your home. Someone might need something that you have. That's what's. I encourage everyone to do that.
And what if it's an animal?
Well, you never know
Be
when
in a
someone needs a
casting
llama.
call. That will be in a casting call.
This is just
Or
for
a competition.
Or a cockatoo.
I can catch alligator.
There There you go.
No,
I mean, you know, you put down, you let people know what you have and what you have available, and you really don't know when somebody might show up and say, gosh, I really need that.
So again, that's your special skills and all that on your profile. And I'm sorry, I hate to rush, but Terry only has a very
Yeah.
short time.
Sorry,
Denny's
I
not
was just gonna
going
say
anywhere.
one more thing,
Of
just one more
course,
thing,
of
okay?
course.
For neighbors, you know, Tom, Michelle, Greg, everybody came in for free. But when the money's coming in, these are the people I'm gonna be bringing in for my films. Because they were there for me when I had nothing, and I wanna make sure they're gonna be there when I got the money.
Bravo.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart. That's it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Terry Futschik, and I have a Facebook group that is New Mexico Casting Film and TV. And I would encourage everyone to join it. It is a culmination of a lot of casting calls. Some I'm involved in directly, some I'm not. They're indie films, paid, non-paid, student films, any projects that I'm contacted about. It's New Mexico Casting Film/TV. And, you know,
Yeah, and this way and with the mic, because I'm like trying to get on Facebook so I can.
New Mexico Casting Film/TV.
And I will put a link onto Casting Copy.
And I left business cards up here too, so if anyone wants to contact me, I'll be glad to send you the link. I would encourage everyone to join, just simply because I did this to be a voice for actors, for anyone involved in film. Whether it's, you know, whether you're a filmmaker, whether you are wanting background, whether you're wanting feature roles. There are sometimes, recently, there was a great SAG role that was posted. There were 2 feature roles. So you never know when I'm going to be contacted to repost. And again, sometimes I'm not directly casting for this, so you know, I get a lot of like private messages and emails and such like that, people sending me, follow the submission, whatever that casting call is very specific about, follow that. Because if sometimes they're casting 5 roles and I'm getting 75 emails. So I try to, you know, and I respond to everyone and say, you know, follow the submission information. And there are amazing filmmakers here in New Mexico, indie filmmakers, which I have the utmost respect for, because a lot of them are doing it because something, you know, that they feel very passionate about. They're doing it to maybe perhaps help out certain actors, to help build a reel. So, you know, there is not a project that I wouldn't work on. It's just, it's in my blood, acting. I love it. So I'm also going to be opening up a very small studio here shortly. It's called the Natural Act Studios, and it's going to be a very small version, nothing like I-25 or Santa Fe, but it's a, you know, a small beginner, maybe 2,000 square feet, where actors can come and we'll have a green screen set up, a voiceover booth, an editing booth, places you can go to do self-audition, where you can tape your audition. Just something that's just like on a smaller scale to, again, help boost us up as a community of film lovers, you know, of people that it's in our blood. I don't know about you, but I wake up and I go to sleep thinking about film. It's just, it is what it is, and I love it. So that's me, and thank you guys so much for listening. And always email me if you want, or PM me, whatever. If you want to have any questions, I am here to help. I will help answer questions about the format of your resume, your headshot. I get contacted, hey, do you know about this project? I might not necessarily have it posted, but it might be something you heard about. I had a young guy email me the other day and said, I was contacted by this casting agent. They want to send me here. Should I go? Well, I almost jumped out of my skin because it's the top place to go. I was like, now, go. Go. So that's the kind of things I want everyone to understand. I'm a voice for you. I am here to help assist in whatever way I can. So never hesitate if you feel the need to have a question answered or you're uncomfortable about something. I vet those casting notices that I receive as best I can. Sometimes if I'm contacted by students that are making a film, again, I vet them, but I can guarantee you, if someone says, I'm gonna pay you $25 for showing up for 3 hours, I don't guarantee the pay, I don't guarantee the outcome of, of if they say you're gonna have a line, and it turns out they don't. So sometimes, again, I am involved in some of the casting, and sometimes I'm not. So I'm not a Lori Latham or Elizabeth, but I will go to bat for you as well. So, thank you guys.
Two quick questions. First off, in the submission, we've heard different stories. We've heard they want you on a white background. How important is that?
Follow it, whatever it says, do that.
Well, usually it doesn't.
Well, a background, the thing about, just like headshots and background, this is what you want to remember when you are submitting a picture. If I'm standing against something such as that is going to be very distracting. So what they're trying to do is eliminate any distraction. When you get a headshot done, don't wear black, don't wear white, don't wear stripes. Wear something like a fall color, solid color, kind of stay away from the red. So, make it, what they're trying to see is you. Don't, a lot of makeup, just make it you. That's what they want to see. They can always add makeup, but if you add a lot of hair and makeup and all that, it's going to be hard for them to see the real you. So,
selfies are okay.
Selfies are, actually, when I first started acting, I set up my iPhone in an atrium where there was beautiful natural light, and I took a picture of myself, and a headshot is here up. It was a really clear picture. There wasn't anything in the background, and it really was, and I was getting bookings like that. So it doesn't matter if you do it or if you pay $200 to get it done. A good headshot is critical, and please remember, be careful what you post on social media. If you are serious about a career in film, that will follow you forever. If your profile picture depicts a character, you're a fairy with wings, and casting directors look at that, so, on my Facebook group, I vet the members as well, meaning if you send in a request to join, and it is a profile picture that is not appropriate for what I'm trying to advocate for, I won't accept it. We're here to be, we're actors. We want to be seen, and there are casting directors joining all the time and looking at everyone that's a member. So again, they're looking at your profile picture. So if you're really serious about film, make your profile picture on Facebook reflective of actually who you are. So, any more questions?
Yes, one question I have is if somebody else gets, cast to go into a show's background, and I'm their transportation, can I get in on the set as well, on the writing?
No. You have to go through the normal channels, and you cannot bring family to set. That's a big no-no. Unless you are doing an independent film and you're part of that crew, and everyone's discussed it, prior to meeting, and they're like, it's okay, we have a holding room or what, but no. You drive someone, unfortunately, you're doing a kind thing for them, but you can't. You have to go through the normal channels.
Questions? Yes, sir.
How do you handle a fictional character along with, like, I'm trying to do background and that's going fine, but I also have a fictional character that I have a lot of videos and a lot of material about. Can that person or that character be registered as a character? No.
Well, you have a reel of this character?
Oh, yeah.
It would be on your resume.
Okay. Okay, so it just added to what
Yes,
my
sure.
skills are, but, okay, thank you.
Absolutely, certainly. Anyone else? Thank you guys very much, and happy birthday, everyone. Okay, now we're going to talk to Keith Allen West. Hi, Keith.
We're gonna talk acting. Yeah.
We're going to talk acting. Keith, okay, when I do these, I've done a couple of these in Santa Fe, and I always feel bad because people will say, well, yeah, I've done background, or I want to do background, but I want to go farther. So Keith is here to explain how important it is to take acting classes. He'll drop a few names of some acting classes. And how it is, again, do the indies, do some independents, so you can get your reel together. So we're going to give it to Chris. Keith.
I can play character. We can do Chris. Since I am here, Chris, don't leave yet. Chris, I'm an actor. Chris, resume, headshot, tell all the students for me. So that's part of what we do is we have to network. So, and yeah, I don't want to leave the other guys out either. So here's the bio on the back. Yeah, all the headshots. There you go. You got it. So yeah, I'm Keith Allen West. I had done background. If you look at my resume, most of that is background. We don't list it as background on a resume, by the way. You want to list it as featured, not background. It sounds better. I started professional acting about 6 months ago. And as Bobby said, I'll bring up some classes. The very first one I took is at Soul Acting Academy, and it is called Foundations of Acting. I thought it would be a good place to start, and it was spectacular. So I know they have another one coming up in September 8th. It's $200. Classes are Saturdays from 6 to 9, and it literally changed my life. So I went from the only acting experience I had was in high school. I was in West Side Story. Because my high school was so white, I did play a Puerto Rican. So I have a good range. But I went from really no acting experience, a little bit of background work, to I've already signed with Carissa at Mitchell Associates Talent, so I have an agent now, and I am going out for casting calls and whatnot. So the classes, when you don't have a lot of things on your resume that are actual featured roles, classes are also important. So I've been really working the classes at Soul. I've also done the ones through Laura Cunningham, ABQ Actor Studio. I love Laura's classes because it's part acting, part therapy, because she kind of breaks down a lot of the crap that gets in our way. So that's been very helpful. But the whole process is really just, you've got to invest in yourself first. So, and one of the things that a lot of the film people say is they look to see if you have background experience, because then you know how to act on set. They look to see if you've had the classes because you're willing to put in the time and the money to learn more of those skills. And then it all just kind of comes together. So just over the last couple months, I've been able to do a lot more independent film, get some supporting roles and leading roles on my resume, which of course makes it all look better. I do have some reality TV work that I've done in the past, so you may have seen me get divorced on Bravo. There's a show called Untying the Knot where they actually sent in the attorney to divorce me and my ex-husband. We fought over the pet pig, the building, and the business.
You on that?
Yes, so he now lives at home with his parents and I have everything. So I've done a little bit in the reality TV world, I've done a little bit in, actually quite a bit in the background world, and now I'm getting more into the acting. I am not SAG-AFTRA yet. I'm not in a hurry to join the union, because once I do that, that limits a lot of what I can do as an actor. So a lot of people want to jump into the union the minute they can. My theory is why? Because it's going to limit the student films I can do, some of the paid and non-paid things I want to do. So that's not my next big hurry, is to get that. I'll be happy to do it when I need to. But I'm going to take my roughly 3 times before I'm a must join, just to see what else I can get into. So what I want to do today is just answer any questions you have around acting, training, those kind of things, because I've been experimenting with different classes, trying to learn different things, and most important I've found is the networking. So putting myself out there, to where I can answer questions for people, meet other filmmakers. I didn't get to ask Chris, but one of the classes I took, I've also done classes with the casting directors. So Joe Edna Bolden's class, spectacular. Catherine Brink's class, there's a UNM professor, Matthew McDuffie, who's actually part of that class, and he produces and directs, and he was spectacular. So just taking classes with the casting directors has also been, pretty neat to see how they work, to see how they take you through the audition. And then another one that's spectacular is, if you don't know Marie McMaster, she works with Joe Edna Bolden. McMaster Audition 101 is her Facebook page. And she does some amazing classes, weekly actually, where she sends you a script of something that's already been filmed, and then you go in, you record the audition, just like you were going in for a real casting director. And then she posts it on Actors Access, which is a great website where they do all the breakdowns for the shows. So you get to see it exactly as a casting director would see it. So that's an amazing resource. But questions, all those kind of things, happy to answer.
So this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, even just about being background, and when you have a question, the first person to ask is somebody who's doing what you're doing. Well, he's doing what you want to be doing, so all the more reason to be able to throw some questions at him. Just saying.
What was the name of the master's?
Marie McMaster is her name, and her Facebook page is McMaster Audition 101. She actually does 3 classes. So she does, her 101 class is kind of an overall intro class just to everything from SAG to, how auditions work and whatnot. So it's your entry level. 102 is actually like a 3 or 4 hour workshop where you get up and record in front of the group and in front of her. So she sends you the sides, which is your script. So you get up and actually record it, and then she will edit and post them just like a casting director. Her 103 is an ongoing rolling class. So every week you get a new script, and then she tells you on Sunday, show up at the Box Theater at this time for your audition. So they're all done just for practice. But it's an amazing way to get to where you're not nervous in front of a camera. So when you're auditioning, it's not really that exciting. It's like you, 1 or 2 people, and a camera. So you've got to be able to make it look like you're sitting in a bar, drinking, and having a fight with someone, when literally it's you and 2 people in a room. So it takes a lot of practice to be really comfortable with that.
I'm sorry, there it is.
I have a question for you that's asked of me a lot, about going to an agent. You're with Presley?
I'm with Carissa Mitchell.
You're with Chris Mitchell. Okay, how does a background actor who really, doesn't have a reel yet, unless they've worked with Denny, or they're gonna work with Chris? Denny! We love Denny!
I love the Denny fan club, yeah. I've seen him, but I never met him till today, so good.
Well, we've all worked for him, so we know how much fun he is. When is it time to go to an agent? When is it time to look for an agent?
So I'm one that, if it's something that interests you, start planning and doing it now. You're gonna be told no, but I don't mind being told no 7 or 8 times before I'm told yes. So I'm pretty lucky because I've met Carissa before. I've actually dated a few of her actors back in the day before I decided to be an actor. So I had kind of an in with her. But what you wanna do is, first of all, there's only 4 SAG-AFTRA franchised agents in town. You want one of those if you want to be a real actor, right? If you want to go down that path, they've got to be a sanctioned franchise agent to get you those roles. So you want to do your research. The 4 that are out there, Presley Talent, Mitchell and Associates Talent, MGR I think is still around, and then O Agency. So if you go to their websites, each one has a very specific way that you need to submit yourself. They make it difficult because they want to see if you can follow directions. If you're going to submit to O Agency, it is paper copy only, there's the P.O. box, mail it in. I think all the other ones accept it, electronically now, but like with Carissa, she wants 2 letters of recommendation also submitted, so you have to be able to attach those with your headshot, with your resume. So even if you don't have much to put on a resume yet, at least start, go Google resume template for actors and start. Because you want to at least start building a resume so that you have it. And then you can also submit it for other things. So I say, if you're interested, number one, you've got to have a good headshot. For an agent, selfies will not work. So, even if your best friend does great pictures, it's not going to work. So they're going to want to see something that they're going to represent you as professional. But do it. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to hear anything back. Then you do a few more background roles, or you work on some student films or whatnot. 6 months later, submit again. Now, I was very lucky because the very last night of that Foundations acting class, Soul likes to bring in special guests. So they brought in Scotty Mulder, who's a scriptwriter, director. Some of his stuff is streaming on Amazon Prime right now. And they brought in Carissa Mitchell to actually give us notes and direct us in these scenes we learned. So she got to see me do 2 very powerful, amazing scenes and signed me, right after that. So a lot of it also goes back to right place, right time, networking, getting in front of people. But especially if you're gonna be an actor, you gotta get used to rejection. A lot of rejection. And not even rejection, just never hearing. Like ever. Yeah, so start now. That way you get used to rejection.
It's like my love life.
I got divorced on a Bravo show, so yes, I feel your pain. Yes.
So can we Google this Bravo show?
You can, it's called Untying the Knot.
What episode?
Episode 204. It's the only one where they talk in the episode title about fighting over a pet pig. Yeah. Other questions on acting?
What do you find most challenging, or what was, something that you didn't expect when you became an actor that you found challenging?
So for me, I'm an entrepreneur by my regular day job. So as an entrepreneur, if I decide I want to do something, I make skincare. So if I decide I want to launch a new line or whatever, I just go do it. As an actor, the hardest thing is waiting for other people to make decisions. They don't tend to move as fast as I do. I don't tend to have as much power and input in the casting process as I would like, which is also now why I'm taking script writing classes as well. So I have a movie I'm working on, and I'm also working on a sitcom because I also decided as an entrepreneur, why not hire myself? So that's kind of the thing I'm doing now, is saying, this could be a great project. Let's write it. And the great thing about New Mexico is we have tons of people who are willing to help. So that's the hardest part. It's really just that it's out of your control. And the mind wanders when you don't hear from your agent in a week. Oh my God, they don't like me. Oh my God, that last one I knew was bad. I was bad. I should have. Oh, I wore that shirt. Why did I wear that shirt? Right? And once you start going down that, you're in trouble. Yeah, don't do it.
I'll throw in my 2 cents, my really, really cheap acting advice.
Okay.
And it's really, really cheap acting advice. Which would be this. If you can't go out and do all the classes and pay all that, I understand that. And most of us do understand that. It can get expensive, it can be whatever. So pick the brains of the people who are there and can do it. I got into film to be an actor. I didn't get into being an assistant director. Nobody gets into being an assistant director. And if they do, shame on them. I got in to be close enough to those who were doing it for a living, acting for a living, so that I could learn from them and observe from them the best that I could. Pick the brains of those who are doing it. My second piece of advice is this. Have any of you heard of like the Meisner method? Or method acting? Or that type of thing? So there's all kinds of methods out there. Everyone's gonna suggest something, and utilize the ones that make sense to you. Don't try to force yourself to do something that just doesn't work for you. The best thing that ever worked for me was recording myself, playing it back, and realizing how much like me it does not sound. When I go into an audition, I literally rehearse my lines as though I'm speaking to my best friend, as opposed to just trying to remember the lines and recite them, because then it always comes across really awkward. But if I say the line like I would say it to my best friend, it comes out really natural and far, far better that way. So, my last piece of advice on that one, there's the Meisner method, this method, the Webster. I have what I call the Webster method. And when I started doing acting, and I did do acting a long time ago, I opened up a great big unabridged Webster's dictionary, and I looked up acting. And it's the definition that made the most sense to me in my whole life, and it still makes the most sense to me, which is an actor is a person who portrays a character by suppressing the parts of their personality which do not suit the character. So it's kind of the opposite of what a lot of people teach, but it's what I believe personally, that we are all those characters. You're already a hero, you're already a coward, you're already capable of doing all those things. All you have to do to portray a hero is suppress the part of you that's scared. And the opposite the other way around. So, I don't know if it'll help you or it won't help you. I'll let you know when the book comes out. But I believe in the Webster method. The Meisner method is kind of the exact opposite. It's build an entire history of your character and why they are motivated to do what they do. I always just believed more that when I get up in the morning, I do what I do without thinking about the last 40 years of my life. I just get up and I do it. So one will work better for you and one will not. And it doesn't mean that my way is better. The other way may work for you.
And I Amazon Prime, everything I can get my hands on, so I've read all the books on the method, the Meisner, the Chubbuck, the blah, 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 blah. I take the parts that I like from them and use them, and then the things that made no sense to me, I figured they weren't important. My favorite book out there, though, and I've taken a class with him, if you know who Basil Hoffman is, All the President's Men, great Seinfeld, he's a true character actor. But he has a book called Acting and How to Be Good at It, which I thought was what I wanted to do, so I read it and went, it all makes sense to me. And I figured he has to know he's got like 130 IMDb credits, so it helped.
Yeah, and it was less expensive than the class.
Way less expensive, yeah. Other thing I was thinking...
Oh, and YouTube the shit out of it.
Yeah, the other big thing for me that's different is realizing that acting is not acting. It's not. Because what casting directors would say to me when I would go to an audition is, that was really good. Yeah, I felt the doctor, but we want more Keith. And I'm like, I thought acting was that it's not me. No, we want more. How would Keith be as the doctor? That's what we want. And I thought, well, hell, I'm Puerto Rican. I had to play Puerto Rican in high school. I didn't know it was that easy. But no, just acting is being truthful.
Yeah, I heard somebody say pretending. It's not. It's not pretending. It's being who you are as that character or person.
Yeah. So I would work up all these great stories about who I am as a doctor, and when they say to me, "That's great, but we want more Keith." Yeah. I can do that every day of my life.
Yeah, Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. If you go back through his catalog for years and years, he didn't change anything to be Iron Man. He is who he is. He's portraying Iron Man as Robert Downey Jr.
Which gave me hope, because I figured as an inappropriate white guy, I can bring that to every role I play. I got that. Any other questions?
Is it easier to get parts that are just like few lines? When you get an agent, is it easier to get parts that are like a few lines versus lead roles?
Yes, so here's one of the things that you'll have to know. So to get a part that has lines in a SAG-AFTRA movie, number one, you have to have an agent. Those are the only way you can get submitted for those roles is through an agent. You cannot, so like in background world, you submit yourself directly to the background casting agents, which is fine. You do not send stuff to casting agents directly who are casting for SAG-AFTRA roles. They only deal with agents. Once you have an agent, though, I will send postcards to them reminding them of the classes I've just taken, the roles I've just done, because now they can access me through my agent. But to get the ones with lines, you have to have an agent. The other thing is, one of the things that Laura Cunningham tells us in our first class is, none of you all are leading ladies and leading men. You're not. You're not Angelina Jolie, you're not Brad Pitt, you're a character actor. That's what you are.
They get the most work.
They get the most work, but you are going to start with 1, 2, 3 lines. You can only work your acting magic so much on Sir, Do You Want More Iced Tea? That's the line, go in there and do it. But that will build into other things. So, but you're not going to get that, you know, I was at Starbucks and I was discovered. It's not going to happen. But if you work it and keep getting roles that can lead to other things, or in my case, write my own roles, then maybe you do get to be a star. There was a hand up, he stood up.
Yes, hand up and he stood up, and he's loud enough.
Oh, good.
I don't usually use a microphone either because I'm way loud, and I've kept the cussing to a minimum, so I'm doing a really good job.
You were talking about character acting, but is this how you interpret the character as it should be? When you're saying you have to be yourself, it's not Keith. No, you've involved Keith in this character.
Oh, totally. Yeah, you've got to, all acting starts with the truth. If it's not, then you're, you know.
So it'll be different for every audience.
Totally.
Even in the same role.
Totally, yeah. Because I can also, there's bitchy Keith, there's happy Keith, there's what, Malibu Barbie Keith. I mean, there's a whole bunch of Keiths in here that I can bring to whatever I'm attempting to do. And then a director's gonna tell me, that was great, but could you do that a little less bitchy? Right? So you're gonna get direction. But yeah, the truth starts, the role starts with what Keith is, or what I see in a role.
Very good.
Yeah, I want you to be you, and then I want to just tweak.
Right. Yeah, we tend to overthink it as actors.
Just want to build on something you said earlier. The best audition advice I ever got was, don't look to book the role, book the room.
Mm-hmm.
Be memorable. And I was fortunate enough to get one very tiny co-star role in a network series, and I didn't audition for the role. I had auditioned for another role a month earlier, and she remembered me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such powerful advice. The other thing that you said, every actor, I took a lot of acting classes, at some point, every teacher said, stop acting. Okay? Because there's no truth when you're acting. And the more honest the portrayal that you can give, the more memorable you are. And that's really what your goal is. I mean, there are 3,000 submissions to every network role, and 20 people get called in, 5 get called back, and 1 gets the role.
Yep.
So you gotta have a long game,
Which is another reason I think it's important if you want an acting career to start in New Mexico, because here you probably have 200 people submitting to a role. They're probably going to bring in 20 or 30. And then it's your job to make sure that you are good enough to be one of the 4 or 5 that they actually post for the people in LA to look at. That's your job. So I look at my job is the audition. If I get a role, that's the bonus. My job as an actor is to audition as much as I can, as often as I can, and stretch myself for things that I don't think would be me, but I can go in there, give them more Keith, and see what happens. How many theater actors do we have in the room? Anybody that does theater? Okay, just so you know, theater acting and on-film camera acting are different. Totally different things. So you can do both, but I think what most of us think of as acting, I see as theater acting, which is way more grand, because when I first started, I did also get the note from a lot of people, we want to scale that down a little. Yeah, this is on camera. We're going to pick up everything. Yeah. Ooh, yeah, a little less. So there were times I got the note a little less Keith, right? Because of what I thought acting was, which is you're on a stage, you've got to make sure that people in the back of the room can hear you, versus a camera where the mic is right here, and the camera is right here. Yeah, so it's a completely different skill set to do the on-camera acting than it is for theater.
Pay a lot of attention on those ones, to the nuance of, because theater is huge and grandiose, and film is so tight and so small that I had to videotape myself to find out how much I was blinking and how often my eyes were darting around. And it could surprise you, to know just how many of those little tics you have. I have plenty of them. But when I'm performing on camera, then I have to speak very calmly and very directly to you, and I'm not going to blink a lot, and I'm not going to move my head around a lot. I'm just going to deliver my lines.
Blink bothers me.
And I'm kind of a grandiose hand talker, so the other thing I've had to learn in the acting world is once they set me up and I'm in focus, this is where I need to be. If I do too much of this or this, they're like, fuck you, you're out of focus. You just wasted $30,000. Which is not what you want to hear from a director.
Not typically.
Yeah, so you've got to learn where to be. Anything else?
In searching for the truth of your character, what criteria do you use to decide which acting schools are going to work for you and which are not?
So what I've done, because I've studied a bunch of different things, it still for me comes down to what I learned in APQ Actors Studio here, which isn't necessarily a method, but if you look at what Laura Cunningham has done, she's done some amazing work. And the way she does it, here's the other problem too. So I've got one page of dialogue to build an entire character from. I don't know where that fits into the story. I don't know who else I'm interacting with. I have almost no information. So all you can do is craft what you think. And the way I do it is I start by writing a bio. So if I know I'm a 45-year-old doctor, I start writing with, when did I get into medical school? Why did I get into medical school? It helps me to at least craft something. Now, 9 out of 10 of those facts happen to line up with my life, so that I'm not trying to create like a whole new life. So when I went into medical school, happens to be the same time I went to journalism school, and some of those reasons I did that are the same. So it's almost crafting, what my life has led me to where I am, but how would it be if I was a doctor instead? Or if I was an attorney? Or if I was a drug addict? Or whatever that I've had to prepare for. So I don't necessarily rely on any certain method to do it, other than how do I create a well-rounded character that at least looks like he's a person. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I just kind of look at, do I believe in what they teach?
Yeah. And try it, because you got to see what works for you.
If they teach primarily method acting, then it's probably not for me, because I'm not a big proponent of method acting. So.
And most of the acting coaches or classes or whatever, I know some will let you audit, correct?
Oh yeah, I will always say, like, if you want to take a class at Seoul, you should be able to schedule and say, I want to drop in for a day, just to see what's going on in that class.
So they will allow you to audit. And Seoul offers free classes or dirt cheap classes all the time. Go to Seoul Acting Academy big time, because since Chris has taken it over, it's really, really changed, and they're really interactive now. We also like Steve Burho. He's a wonderful acting instructor. You know somebody, Carlos?
I know lots of somebody.
We're gonna give.
No. Really, those are the people here. I've been out of the acting side of it for a considerable amount of time.
Oh, okay.
So those are the ones I'm most aware of. Like not to speak ill of anybody, I don't like Laura's methods, so I would not benefit very much.
I can see where it wouldn't work for a lot of people.
Yeah, I just wouldn't really benefit too much from her classes. But that's not to say that they're bad classes at all. For a lot of people, really love her class and really get a lot from it, and I've seen a difference in their performance get better. Just not my cup of tea.
I look at acting schools as kind of the salad bar. You just got to take a little here and a little there and see what works for you. And that may work today, and then tomorrow I'm like, no boiled eggs. Not there.
And that being said, there could come a time.
That being said, there could come a time when I would specifically seek Laura out if it was a role that I knew that her method would work best for. Until that time, I'm not going to bother with that one. But it's one of those things you got to kind of, as you study more and you figure it out for yourself, what works best for you and what does not work best for you, then you can concentrate on putting your resources toward what will work best to get you to the next stage. When a role comes up that I'm gonna need her method, I'll be the first one knocking on her door saying, here's your retainer.
Yeah, because they do a lot of coaching, so if you need help with a specific audition, you can reach out to them. It just kind of depends on where you are in your career and what you need help with. My favorite part out of any acting class I've ever taken is actually not my acting. I like watching the other people get directed. I like seeing how they make a shift when they're given a note, or when they're given a note and they don't make a shift. Right? Like, great, we want that, but we want it to be happier. You just did it the exact same way. Wow. So I love the watching part, because that's how I learn most of what I've been able to incorporate, is by seeing how they direct you to do something, or what you brought to a character that I never even thought of. One of the things you'll hear a lot in acting, because like I said, we get one piece of paper, and we have to craft a whole life around those 3 or 4 lines, is that you make strong, positive choices. That's all you can do. If you don't know that person's life, you gotta make one up. And it's gotta be something that somebody's gonna wanna watch for 20, 30 seconds, or else why are they gonna pick you? And one of the things that Joanna Bolden, probably the biggest casting director here, said in her workshop is, when you're auditioning, when you're working, make sure it looks like you wanna be here. Because if you don't wanna be here, we can make that happen. And that's what made me go, ooh. Okay, good. Anything else? You think that's hard.
I'll be outside,
Okay.
probably talking to Keith.
Exactly. I'll be out there going, what are we filming? When are we working? How are we working together?
Let's just step in the coffee shop.
There you go.
All right.
So if you're too shy to, ask, yes, thank you, Jerry, so much. There's still refreshments, let's all, you have a house party and everybody ends up in the kitchen. It always goes that way. Thank you so much.
I'm not sure which button is which, so I'm not going to touch anything. Good. There, now we haven't worried about being responsible for breaking it, dropping it. Great. Yeah. I have to have that is me, yes. There you go. But yeah, for me, I have to have I have a very strong personality. I can very quickly take over a room, and producer has no power anymore if I do that, so I've got an teacher that can actually stand up to it. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's him, even more. Good, yeah. And he also is one that I like, a lot of people don't. He's not there to worry about the feelings. He's there to make you a better actor. He says that was shit. You do the exact same thing before, and my note I gave you is this. You just have to go, right, always that. Because that's, working with Timmy Chris is why we're evaluating the fact that let's work with both of them. 4 weeks or whatever, changes things from right? Yeah. Right? Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's just how he is. Because yeah, he's done it enough to know when. Yep. Yeah, he directed our 48-hour film project. So he is a director, it was, you know, he said things to me like, you might want to go to your script because you don't know your lines. So I went, you know, I was like, you're right, I missed that line, you know, but you just can't take it personally. But you have to get to a point where you're okay with that too. Otherwise you're like, that was me.
Yeah, but it's just like, for me,